Hey, folks, you're listening to the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast with Vito D'Amico and
I'm so excited. Mark Arts.
Mark Arts. And we have, they call it in Mexico. Dave, do you know what your name is in Mexico?
David.
No, it's El Presidente.
Ah, good.
See?
Yeah.
I didn't even know
there.
Mexican.
Nice.
But that's what they call him, El Presidente. He is the president of the American Atheists.
Yeah.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
Mr. Dave Silverman's here with us.
Yay!
There we go.
There.
Yeah. So, Dave, did you have to kill somebody to get that role?
Yeah.
Like, is it like the mob?
I had to wait for 14 years. I was a volunteer for 14 years, and I scaled the ladder regrettably, or I should say unavoidably. I was working at Bell Labs trying to climb the ladder there, and the American Atheist ladder just kind of pulled me up it. So I was a volunteer, and then they called me and asked me to be state director, and then I did that for a few years, and they called me and asked me to be national spokesperson. And I did that for a few years, and they called me and asked me, and I became vice president. And then it was not until I was there for 2 more years that the president retired and suggested I run for president. And so it was volunteering for a long time that put me into the position to get the job. And I'm holding on to it now with my claws. I don't ever want to leave.
It sounds a lot more legitimate than the way Bush got to be president.
Yeah, like
well, yes.
you sound like you worked your ass off for that. And
I did. I had a lot of fun, and I really do enjoy it. And now what the problem is that I've got no hobby.
Oh.
My hobby was my job. My hobby is now my job, and now I don't have a hobby. I just have a job.
Is it?
That I do
Is
all the time.
Is it less fun now?
No.
Awesome.
No, it's not.
but
No,
you
it's
seem
not
like
less fun.
you relish it. Like you seem like you really you take it on. You know, you're like you don't look like you're. You know, some people are just like you could tell when George Bush got the job. He's like, holy shit, I got the job. You know?
Now
but
what?
you're like a ravenous. You're constantly out there. You're energetic. You remind me of the lawyer from The Simpsons. Like, don't mess with this guy. You know.
I have. I love this job ferociously, and I really do enjoy it. I don't ever want to quit. I think I equate it to the person who goes to Juilliard because they're a really good actor and they get the best training, but they can't get a job, so they wait tables and they do other things until sometime in their future they get the role against Pacino, and that's it. That sets them off. And I believe I'm in that situation. I have really lucked out with this job, and I'm very happy with it, and I relish it every day.
Like the first day, did you tell everybody, you go, you know what, this took way too long, you know? Like, did you have that speech with the baseball bat? Like, we're going to clean this joint up,
It's about fucking
people.
time.
We're going to get rid of the leeches. We're going to do the old hit the weakling that hasn't been selling enough cookies, you know? That,
The first thing we did is straighten the ship. We refinanced. We straightened out all of our financials. The first thing that we did back in 2010. We set the ship right, and then we started to fire off on those billboards.
yeah.
And the billboards started everything.
Those freaked me out.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Your background's in marketing, right?
Yeah, my MBA is in marketing.
That's it. Well, it shows because the stuff. I mean, to put the what was the one? Was the one you did a couple billboards, but there was that one where they just went monkey shit over. What was that one where God is dead? Get on with your lives. That was England. There was.
You know it's a myth.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
You know
it's a myth. That was on the air. That was on the national news in 9 different countries.
Awesome.
But you need
Yeah,
more
a
of that.
billboard.
See, I consider you as my representative, and I think as my representative, I would like to see more of you on TV. I want to see more. I want you to speak for me. So when there's religious talk or anything like that, I think, if they're going to have the Catholic League guy there, I want President Silverman there on my behalf. And I think lately they have not been doing that.
Well, the problem is when you get on, it seems like they don't want you to talk anyway.
Oh, they all pick on you. They all go at you like you're the devil.
Well, remember what the objective is here. Okay, my objective is to get my message out. Their objective is to stop me and or make my message look bad.
Right.
So they don't like it when I cut them off. The last time I was on Hannity, there was a 3 against 1.
Yes.
And there was one point where they were piling on, and I looked at Hannity off camera, and I said, "Am I going to be able to respond?" And he said, "No." So I started interrupting.
What a
and then what happened later on, and you'll see this, they haven't had me on Fox News in over a year and a half.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that long, but it's been that long. And that's because I keep winning.
Yes.
I keep winning. They put me on 2 against 1, 3 against 1, 4 against 1. I still keep winning. And now they won't have me on at all. Now they have other people on to talk about me.
Yeah, but they shouldn't, though. I mean, if they want the president, if they want to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, they should.
They don't. They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from an atheist, out of which they can make a fool.
Yeah, but yes, that's true.
Look bad.
They'll have the amazing atheist on, who shoved a banana up his ass, and that's the thing that pisses me off. They had him on. Was it on CNN about a month ago? And I'm thinking, why is he there?
No.
I mean, he's just a guy, YouTube that got a lot of hits. He's atheist. I get it. He came up, 8 years ago with the name The Amazing Atheist. So everybody looks up, hey, The Amazing Atheist. But everything he says is just common sense.
Yeah.
When they talk to you, it's kind of like what I like about you, Dave. You remind me of a lawyer that knows his shit. Yeah. So you could sit there and deal with people, and if they do and try, if they try and throw you a curveball or anything, you reply is beautiful. It's very well thought out. It's calculated, and it's smart, and it's that sound bite that resonates, because I know you only have so much time, but you know what to say, which afterwards they sit there and go, wow, there's a reason why he's the president. This is, it's a hard job, but you know what you're saying. You just don't talk out of your ass.
Right. Well, you go in there with sound bites prepared.
Right. Sure.
My wife and kid are very used to the idea of coming up the stairs towards the bedroom and hearing me yell at the mirror.
Yes, good.
I do. It's all practice. I go in there with sound bites, and I go in there with sound bites that I want to say, even if there's no prompting for it. So if they come out with something that makes no sense to me, and I don't think I need to answer it, like tide goes in, tide goes out, you can't explain that.
I remember that.
I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah, that I love, and I could totally tell that you've been working really, really hard on it. When he asked you about tide goes in, tide goes out, your face, I've watched it.
What a dumbass!
And your reaction, I could swear you looked at him like, "Are you retarded?" like I'm sorry, mentally challenged. Okay,
yeah, you can't say that anymore either.
You were looking at you looked at him, and I thought. You had that face that I have every day when you walk around and you see somebody and go, how the fuck do you have more money than me?
Yeah.
How are you famous? When you come out and say something so incredibly stupid, and you know that there are millions of people watching that will go, he's got a point. Tide goes in, tide goes out. It's gotta be God.
Do you ever walk away from one of those stupid shows and think, man, I didn't reach anybody today? You just totally got slammed, or do you feel like you get enough out in the limited time you have to actually get to somebody?
There have been a couple of times when I've gone on, say, I remember a Gretchen Carlson show that I did that I didn't get like really any words in.
She's filthy.
But almost all the time, as long as I get in something, I'm very happy with it because it's a very hostile environment.
Yes, it is.
Anything is a lot better than nothing.
Yes.
And yeah, the target market for Fox News directly is conservative Christians, but all those videos live on forever in YouTube.
Right.
Yes.
And it all gets it does motivate the base. It does go to the base and it motivates the base.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looking at tide goes in, tide goes out, and looking at that meme face that it spawned, and looking at how popular it is. Everybody knows that meme. Everybody knows that episode.
But that's got to make you
watch
feel
the show.
good, though. That's got to make you feel good.
Oh yeah.
Because you at the end of the day, it's like you're sitting there going, you know what? I'm on a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was, the Catholic League or Jews against Nazis or whatever the fuck is out, you just sit there and go, we're on a bad team. We're not, the team here. It seems like the guys you fight are constantly in lying mode, or this is not what we mean. It's like watching a Side 10 Bruton Kate speak sometimes, where you just go.
Yeah,
they're saying one thing, they're meaning something completely different, but you're being specific, you're being truthful, you're not bullshitting. And I think if you're a kid and you watch it, it's enjoyable.
It's
you just sit there and go, hey, I enjoy what this man has to say.
That Gretchen Carlson thing, that was filthy. I mean, she was intent on obviously on joining the other side right from the outset, which is that's not really news, but it sort of all derailed and went into an argument between you and Rabbi what's his face, and they sat you right between Rabbi Lipschitz and
Lipschitz, yes,
Father Phil McCracken, and he had that fucking stupid grin on his face at the beginning of the thing, and I thought, man, this isn't gonna go good. But still, yeah. I mean, after all that,
you know what it is.
You still look like the only rational person on the set.
Yeah, and that's what freaks me out. They're supposed to have these religious smart people, and you're the only one telling the fucking truth.
Right.
And
we have to realize, and this is something that's really become clear since I became president, is that we are the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're the good guys. It's not just one side versus the other. It's correct versus incorrect. It's right versus wrong. It's also good versus evil. And I'm not saying all religious people are evil. What I'm saying is that we fight the religious right, and the religious right is an evil thing.
Yeah.
The religious right will lie. The religious right pushes for inequality. The religious right will trip me up in order to cloud the issue. The religious right doesn't want conversation. It wants domination.
Right.
Yes.
And when they trip me up, when they get upset, when they step over me, when I go on a 2 against 1, 3 against 1, 4 against 1, when I walk into a 4 against 1, I've already won.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at what they're trying to do in order to beat me. Look at what they have to do in order to get me down. That last Hannity appearance I went on was 4 against 1 on Sean Hannity.
Yes,
and I kicked all of their butts.
Yes, you did.
Because, and that's because we're not only correct, we're good.
Right,
We're pushing for honesty, we're pushing for integrity, and most importantly, we're pushing for equality.
Yes.
And they hate that. They hate equality.
I think they hate that you have an answer.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you have you have an answer, but you have an answer that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what bothers. Anybody could have an answer. Okay, but when you make sense and you could sit there and it could resonate with you later on. I mean, that's something where I changed. I mean, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school. The first time I met an atheist, I was in high school. Because I ended up going to a public school, and it was I remember it was Mike Banting, and Mike Banting's grandfather was the guy who came up with the insulin, right?
Right.
But Mike Banting himself is no genius. He was one of the dumbest fucks on the planet. And I said, Mike, what church or where you going, whatever, and he's like, I'm an atheist, and I said, what are you? And he said, atheist, and I said, what? Because whenever I heard atheist, I thought devil. And I thought, what did you just say to me, man? And he goes, I don't believe in God. And I said, are you like, have you not read the book, man? And he goes, and this is, I'll never forget this. Mike, the Mike, who I had absolutely little respect for, this is what Banting says to me. He goes, have you?
Huh.
And I thought, fuck, no, I haven't. I've just been listening to what other people have been telling me about it.
The good parts.
And he was right, you know. But the word atheist, I think that's what has scared people for so long.
Right.
Is that name? And when you have that, I know that, you know, the in the book you have the new book called God, What the Fuck's Your Problem?
No.
That's not it.
No. Fighting God.
Oh, Fighting God.
Yeah.
So
Fighting God.
okay, sorry. Yes. So in Fighting God, you have that. You know, you have so many people who, you know, they're like agnostic. Then you have other people that say they're humanists. Then other people believe in the cuckoo bird. And you're like, you're all non-believers. You see, when they do polls, the polls are very misleading because there are more atheists out there, non-believers, let's say, than there are. Like, you guys sit there and say there's only 2 to 5% atheists, when in fact there's like 20 to 27%.
Right.
And that's a huge, powerful number if you think about it. Okay.
And I always use the word atheist. I never use any other words like non-believers or unbelievers or anything like that, because they're all words that are much less often used and much less understood. But yeah, right now in this country, we've got about, and I talk about this in Fighting God, we've got about 27% of the country right now that is atheist by definition, but only 2.5% that are atheist by self-identification.
Yeah.
So that means that 90% of the country's atheists don't call themselves atheists.
Yes, and that is fucked up.
It's sad.
Yes, it's fucked up. And a whole bunch of this country's atheists call themselves Christians, Muslims, or Jews.
Yes.
And that's even more fucked up.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Well, they lump in Catholics with Christians, right?
Right.
But they don't believe, you know, like a Protestant and a Catholic, they don't believe kind of the same thing. I know they don't, but they'll lump them in together.
So
Mormons too. Catholics, Protestants, and Mormons, they all get lumped into Christians. But atheists, agnostics, humanists, and brights get separated out.
Right.
So Christianity looks huge, and we look tiny. And they also, they dump in, they look in from self-identification. So when you're a Christian, according to Barna 2009, 22% of people who identify as Christian think God is a metaphor for love or the universe or something.
Yes.
Here's the word now,
hippy-dippy bullshit.
not supernatural.
Right.
Right? Which makes them atheists.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's 22% of the Christian population, which is almost as big as the entire rest of the atheist population.
Yeah.
So how do you change that? I mean, how do you get it that, how do you make it that?
The first thing you do is you understand why it is. They're there because they have been told that atheists are bad for their whole life. They have been told that atheists are immoral for their whole life, and they are atheists, and they know it, but they don't want to admit it, or they don't want to admit it outright.
Right.
And so, first thing that we have to do is make sure that they know that they're not alone. We have to make sure that they know that they're not alone, that there are many good people just like them who are atheists, and then we have to deliver the message that they are not required to pretend to believe the lies their parents believed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and that's all we're talking about here. A lot of times, Christians will say that atheists think that Christians are stupid. Christians will say that atheists think that Christians are really dumb.
Yeah.
And we have to not have that. We have to not get into the whole intelligence thing because it's wrong.
Yeah.
What is right is that Christians and Jews and Muslims are victims of a brainwashing. They're victims of a lie, and they need to be helped. They deserve our help. They deserve our pity. They deserve our compassion.
Yeah.
They do not deserve our scorn. Even the people who are doing bad things in the name of religion deserve some degree of pity and some degree of compassion.
Right.
If you think about the people who were walking down the streets of Paris gunning down innocent civilians, they thought they were doing God's work.
Yeah.
They thought they were doing good. They thought they were doing those people a favor.
Right.
All right? And we have to understand that that's the mentality that is driving everybody. that everybody is a victim of brainwashing who believes in a lie, like the lie of God. And we have to own that, and we have to make sure that it's understood that we understand that. So when atheists call themselves Christians, look at us, they're not going to see the hateful people they've been told to expect. They're going to see nice people just like them who want nothing more than equality and common sense knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and when you think about that, I mean, I'll talk to there are some atheists that, you know, the only problem I ever have online are with other atheists.
Yeah.
Like the Christians will agree, or religious people will agree. Like, just say we're talking about, you know, how bad ISIS can be, how you know how they kill somebody because they think they're going to get a reward, and people throw them a party and call them martyrs, and that is the biggest brainwash. I mean, to take who was it that said religion could make a normal person do crazy things? Who was the famous person who said that?
It was
I think it was Stephen Weinberg.
Yeah, it was Stephen Weinberg.
Yes, that's it.
So
for good people to do bad things, it takes religion.
Yes.
yes, that and Christians will sit there and say, "Yes, I know the Muslims are crazy," and it's like you're like, guys, do you not listen to what you're saying? I mean, you're not as crazy as they are, but you're still believing this fucked up lie.
So how do you get so the moderates in any religion, like they're kind of viewed as enablers for the fundamentalists? How do you get to them? How do you get them to let go of this idea that you have to believe in something? You know, that's one of the first things I told a friend of mine. I'm atheist. The first thing he said to me was, "Well, you got to believe in something." Well, no, I don't. So
right, and you got to believe in something is like the fodder. If you accept an axiom that you got to believe in something, then the next thing is, well, I might as well believe in what I've been raised in. You stay in your religion. Religious moderates have to be a target market for our education system. They have to be seen. They have to be shown that they are creating not only an atmosphere that hurts everybody else, especially when they're in the majority, but they're also hurting. But they're also creating recruiting tools for extremists.
Right.
They're also recreating those. I mean, if you look at all of the Muslim extremists who left Western countries and became Muslim extremists, none of them started out as atheists. Okay,
Right.
They all started out as moderates. They all started out as children of moderates. They got extreme because they were implanted, because they were brainwashed into thinking there was a God. That's the first thing. And then the second level is, not only is there a God, but the people on this earth, there are people on this earth who know what that God wants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get those two things, that's the same message that moderate religion and extremist religion starts with. And then all you have to do once you start with that is just change the person who knows what God wants.
Yes.
That's a much easier thing. Now, if you go to an atheist and say, hey, God wants you to kill some people, he's going to say, well, which God, and why should I believe that God versus another God? And
How much money?
Yeah.
So
how much are you going to pay me?
And if you look at the polls, again, going back to the polls, those Christians who are 70-odd% of that number of the country today, most of them are moderates, but they all, by being Christian, by being there, by calling themselves Christian, help the religious right. They legitimize religion.
Yeah.
They make it make more sense. They make it more okay to be religious.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we never see, or we rarely see, is religion criticizing other religions criticizing themselves, moderates criticizing extremists. That's not usually the way it goes.
Yeah. It's like two guys shitting their pants in the nut house and blaming each other.
Well,
Exactly.
they'll sit there and go, like what I liked was, I remember you went on a panel and there were like 6 different other religions there, and you and it was poorly taped. I wish it was better quality. They all of a sudden it went from who are you, blah blah blah, and you'd go down the line, and then I went to Dave Silverman, and then by about 15 minutes into it, the whole thing came out to be Dave Silverman. Let's talk to Dave Silverman. And they all, they had the Christian person talked to him, so about this God that you don't believe, and you had an answer for that, and then the other person would ask you, and then it just became like, hey, this guy's making a lot of sense, and and it was neat to watch, but it's like if people were just to listen, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that they don't want to happen, right? Because if they listen, they'll hear that we make sense. Again, that's the other thing about being right. You make sense, and people know it. And so the people who are wrong, who don't want us to listen, who don't want people to listen, they're literally pushing wrong information deliberately.
Like, for me, the biggest bullshit job of them all is an apologist.
Yeah.
Okay? Because for me, I should not need, and this is the thing that I tell people, why do I need somebody to tell me what's in the book? Why can't I pick it up? This is what this means. This is what this means. No, it should be a manual that we don't complain about.
Yeah.
That we both understand, this is the way it is. Not like I invited a Baptist and a Seventh-day Evangelist out for a coffee, and these two guys were arguing about Scripture.
Right.
They couldn't agree on just some simple little fact in Scripture, and I just thought, fuck, if you guys can't even agree on one little sentence
on your perfect book.
Oh, they were taking apart sentences.
That's the thing. It's a perfect book. So, I mean, if it was a perfect book written by a perfect word of God, you'd expect it to be clear and not need apologists in the first place.
Like, one of my favorite talks that you had, the debate between you and Frank Turek, okay?
Okay, yeah.
That to me, do you remember when he said something and the crowd cheered when he said, Paradise Lost, listen, God is here to, we screwed up. He came to save us. And then the rest was like he the tree of knowledge. You nailed him with the tree of knowledge. And what was he saying? He was saying something about God knows all from beginning to end. But you're like, well, if he knew we were going to screw up, why would he send all of us to hell?
Yeah.
Like, it was like that. But and then the crowd cheered, and I thought you stopped and said, "The fuck are you guys cheering about?" I was with you. I was like, "What do they not do they not understand what he just said?"
No, I remember the scene that you're talking about. I believe it was a change in the subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I yelled at the crowd for cheering for him, and it's important to do that because they are all desperate for him to win.
Oh, right? Were they ever?
They're desperate for him to win, and I'm not going to let him win, and I'm not going to let them say he won. I'm going to make them admit that they were clapping when he changed the subject.
Right.
I'm going to make them admit it. We can go on. But first, you're going to admit that you changed the subject and you're clapping for it. And you're not going to do that for me, and I don't expect you to. But damn it, if you're gonna change that, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna call you out on it and make you aware of it.
Oh, that was, and I tell anyone, please go check that out. Yeah. That was a wonderful debate. I've watched it several times.
Yeah, Hitchens was great at that too. He was fearless.
But see, Hitchens has that mythology of Hitchens,
right?
And I think people just stop there. I think go out and watch more debates.
Yeah.
Like go out watch Silverman take people. Aaron Ra will take on people. There's so many guys that will even smaller people will people that you've never even heard of do great debates in school. And you know what it is? They'll use Hitchens as their this is a good
cornerstone.
Yes, this is a good cornerstone to start with. But he was saying, remember when he said something like, so David, you're saying I'm being dishonest, I'm morally being wrong, and you said something so simple and beautiful. You just go, no, I think you're a liar.
Yeah.
And that was perfect because that was the truth.
Yeah.
And the crowd actually felt that. Like you felt the crowd go.
I remember that the crowd felt. I felt the silence when when I said that. I caught him in a lie.
Yeah.
And I called him a liar right there on stage, and I like doing that because of course lying is against the commandments.
Yes.
So I love catching Christian apologists when they lie.
Yes.
And I love doing that. And you mentioned apologists, and apologists are so interesting because, I mean, they remind me a lot of the ex-parrot sketch.
Yes,
from Monty
yes.
Python.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
It's not dead, it's just resting.
Yes.
It's not dead. God didn't mean kill all the gays. It was a metaphor.
Yeah.
It was a metaphor. No, this is a metaphor.
Remember, he would go, if you just let me put on another video. You're like, I don't want to see another piece of shit video. Just fucking talk to me, man. Like, it was just, it was brutal. He absolutely looked foolish.
Yeah.
And I just thought the beauty of it was, I guarantee if he got you alone in an elevator, he would have been like, you know what? I don't believe in this shit, but I can't sell cars.
That's what I wanted to ask you too. Did you ever on that? I keep going back to that dumbass Gretchen Carlson and those two nitwits on either side of you. Like, they basically went to commercial with you and Rabbi Lipschitz arguing with each other. And do you ever like after the fact kind of go, hey man, what's your deal? Like, why don't you let me say something or try and at least get an honest statement out of these donkeys afterwards?
Well, no, I know why they're not going to let me get a word in edgewise. I know that. That's the game, right? I go in there expecting that. But I've had some pretty good discussions with both Rabbi. Now I can't remember his last name.
Sorry.
Rabbi, not Shmuley. It was the other guy.
Shmuley. I don't like them.
Shmuley Bateach, and I call everybody by their first name. So, I'm sorry, I lost the name. But
I know, but that's great. That's great that you call them by their first names, though. I like how you do that because you don't sit there and give them that, hey, Reverend.
You're not my father.
Because for me, when somebody was called a Reverend or somebody, you immediately gave them a huge amount of respect.
Yeah, or father.
I mentioned that in Fighting God. I was talking about one of the preachers. His name was Jerry. He says that off camera, he said that I should call him Father. And that was the bad thing for him to say to me because my father had died just a few years, just recently.
What a dick.
And I told him that my father was a war hero who called rabbis whores. And he said, well, you can call me Reverend then. That's my professional title. And I said, okay, well, if you want me to call you Reverend, my professional title is President.
Right. No, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And he was really hoping for the professional title for him and the personal title, Mr., for me.
Yeah, fuck that.
He wanted that advantage.
Yes.
And I'm not going to give it to him. And there's no reason that we should give it to him. The fact that he wants to be called, if he wants to be called by his professional title, that's fine. That's his right. But he should offer me the courtesy of calling me by my professional title.
Yes, of course.
And if he doesn't want to do that, well, that's his problem, not mine, and I'm going to call him Jerry.
But Dave, it's the same syndrome as when you would go, if you ever, on Letterman, if you went on Letterman, his chair was always a foot higher than the guest.
Yeah.
On purpose. Just to make you feel, hey, I'm bigger than you, I'm Mr. Letterman. I don't care how many Oscars you won. You're talking to Dave Letterman here.
That's what's
Hannity's the same way.
Yeah,
If you ever look at Hannity, not only is his chair higher, but his desk is higher too.
Oh, he looks like a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Like I know that I know you got to watch what you say because you might get the call, But it's just to me.
I haven't been called since I beat him over and over and over again in front of a whole bunch of people. I've been on his show 6 or 7 times. I think the signal has been given clear that he doesn't, that they don't want me on because I guess I'm too good.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and that's not. I'm not trying to toot your horn. That is the truth. When somebody kicks the shit out of you, the last thing you want is them back on.
Yeah.
When
that kind of stuff happens and it's so obvious that you win, that's what makes it so frustrating when these dicks at Fox, like I don't know what that English prick's name is, Varney or something.
Oh, Stuart Varney. Yeah.
They try and be all patronizing and try and make your points trivial, like call me Reverend, but it's not trivial. It's important.
Yeah.
And they try and make it trivial and make it sound like, oh, you're being the dick when they're the ones that are fucking going against the Constitution.
Yeah. And they're the ones going against equality. They're the ones that are breaking their own golden rule. They don't want do unto others as you would have done unto you. They want special rights. And they want those special rights to be defended. And they're lying in order to defend those special rights with lies like we are a Christian nation and God founded this country and God's on our side.
Are you talking about...
I read God wrote the Constitution.
Who was the guy? Is this the same guy that just... when Dave came on for Christmas and it was just being a complete
he's got that smile you want to
smile
right off his face.
And he that guy?
Yes.
Yeah, Dave, why didn't you slap him in the face?
And, it's hard. Stewart really wants to be Sean Hannity. He really, really wants to be Sean Hannity, and he wants to be hard. And I remember once I went on Stewart's show, and he asked me if I was glad that Madeline Murray O'Hare was dead because I'm an atheist.
Right.
I mean, they're just trying to make us look bad, and it's sad because it's so damn obvious.
Right.
It's
well,
damn obvious.
I hated watching that because later on, well, you watch it and you're angry, and I'm angry for the rest of the day because I just feel like saying, why would you do that? Like I like the way you behaved was so and that's something about you. You've always at least, hey, you may not agree with the person, but you were very respectful with them. Okay,
Right.
If it was a lie, you called it out as a lie. A spade was a spade. Okay, you're not making shit up. Okay, and that's something that. Why can't they learn that off of you? They need to learn that off an atheist.
These are the same people that are saying, "Oh, I really like Donald Trump because he says the way it is." Well, you don't fucking want to know the way it is. You just fucking follow somebody
that's
who's.
That's the thing. It's not like they need to learn from me. They know what I'm doing. They know how to do what I'm doing. They don't want to do what I'm doing because they have an agenda to push.
Right.
They're not honest people. They're not doing a good deed. They're doing bad work, and they know it. And they're trying to trip me up because they don't want an actual honest discourse.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how many people look at Fox News and say, "Hey, I should have said this. I should have said this." They don't want honest discourse. Fox News is not a debate.
No,
it's a contest.
Right.
It's a game, and they stack the deck as far as they can so that they win as hard as they can. And it's disgraceful, and it's un-American, and it's kind of putrid, frankly, from a moral perspective.
Sure as fuck
but
isn't
that's
news.
what they do.
Yeah.
And we have to own like I said, we're the good guys, and we have to own that because we are fighting badness. We are fighting literal evil. We're fighting things that we're fighting people that will lie and cheat intentionally in order to in order to push an inequality for their advantage, a big inequality for their advantage.
Right.
And that's pretty much the definition of immorality, as far
and that's
as,
what I don't.
American immorality is concerned.
Yeah, and that's where I don't get it. It's like one of my favorite things. Again, I go back to the Turek one. Was the Tree of Knowledge. Mm-hmm. You gave such a wonderful presentation on the Tree of Knowledge. Can you just get a quick little gist of the Tree of Knowledge?
So the Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil. What I talked about in Frank's book is that the Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil really shows that there was not a fall of man. That according to the Bible, God tricked Adam. The whole idea is, you've got an all-powerful, omniscient God that knows the future, and that omniscient God. That omniscience, that knowledge of the future, it trumps free will. Because if he knows the future, he knows exactly what he can do to make you do whatever he wants. So when he put the Tree of Knowledge in Good and Evil in that spot where he put it, he knew, because he had absolute foreknowledge, that it would cause the fall of man. And Adam would eat it. He knew this. It doesn't matter that Adam thought he made the choice, because God knew it for sure, with 100% certainty that he would if he put it there. It wasn't about the choice. God knew that it would happen. And remember, when God made that choice, Adam hadn't eaten the fruit yet. So Adam was still perfect and without sin. Right?
Yeah.
So God knew that he would cause the fall of man that the perfect being would cause the fall of man if he put the tree there, but if he put the tree somewhere else, that he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He knew that with 100% foreknowledge. So when he put that tree there, he trapped Adam into eating that tree.
Right.
He pushed Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. the entire fall of man was designed by God. And there's no way around that. If God has foreknowledge, there is no way around the undeniable fact that Adam and Eve did not fall from grace. They were pushed.
Yeah.
God's
and
a
that was
cop.
that was one of my favorite parts in the whole debate.
No.
And Frank could not combat it.
Well,
no,
actually,
not at all.
I've got a one phrase rebuttal that just destroys the whole argument, and that is God works in mysterious ways.
No, he said something against Christopher Hitchens, where Hitchens gave a great, gave him a whole 2 minutes, and then Turek said something like God, because God told me so, or something.
Yeah.
And it was and Hitchens says, "I rest my case."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was beautiful. Yeah. So, speaking of stupid people, remember Seitan Brutenkate? Was that not the most? I mean, talk about when he went up against Matt Dillahunty, and I know he wanted to debate you. I would never debate the guy, okay? No. Because he's clearly bullshitting, and there's something mentally wrong with him.
You would slap the shit out of him.
Yeah, I'd probably
10 minutes in.
I would bum rush the stage. I mean, I couldn't stand.
Dave, just to sort of illustrate something. You know when people say something like, this car's a piece of shit. For 2 cents, I'd sell it to the first guy that walked by. But they don't really mean it. But when Vito says I would slap the shit out of that guy.
I would.
It.
I really do.
He
just seems like such. I don't know how Matt did it, but he made him look absolutely. I mean, as a Christian, if I was a Christian, I'd say I don't want him to speak for me.
Right.
I don't want that. That is absolutely an embarrassment.
Well, I mean, Matt versus Cy is a ridiculously one-sided debate.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Matt Dillahunty versus Seitan Brutenkate is ridiculous. He's a child compared to Matt.
Sure.
And I honestly I know him to a point. I know Cy to a point. I know Cy and Eric Hovind and that third guy that they hang around with to a point.
Curly.
These are the guys who. These are the guys who came to the Stark Monument for our unveiling monument, and Eric Hovind stood up on the monument to preach at us while we were trying to dedicate our monument and taking pictures. Cy was there heckling the crowd while I was speaking, and then they took a video. Okay, so let me say this right now. They took a video, Cy and Eric Hovind and this third guy, I can't remember his name. They took a video after our Stark Monument unveiling, after it was all over, and they went over to the Ten Commandments monument that was right next to ours, and there was a tomato there, and they wrote a video really implying that the atheists had thrown tomatoes at the Stark Monument, at the Ten Commandments, which absolutely did not happen.
What a bunch of dicks!
And it is my personal opinion that they just lied.
Yes, sure.
That they just lied, that they just created a video that made us look bad because they couldn't actually understand the fact that we wanted our equality and we demanded it. So, I mean, I don't like to throw away accusations. I don't like accusations, but no, I don't like Cy, and I don't find him to be an honest person. And right. I don't find any of the three of them to be an honest person. Raven or something like that? Vixen? I don't remember what his name is. But it's not something that I would associate with. I won't associate with Cy anymore. I've been on the radio with him. I saw him against Matt. I was there for the Matt debate. I am unimpressed. He has. I remember he was going to come out with his version of that debate. I don't think it ever came out.
Right.
Because I mean, the debate was sad.
Yes.
It was sad. It was really, really one-sided. It was like a child versus an expert.
So, if he hears you say that, he'll say, well, see, he's scared to debate me.
Well, he wanted Dave to do it. Remember, it was so weird. It was like he was such a man-child because Eric Hovind, who I think is a scam artist, will sit there. They had a conversation with him and Smalley, and out of nowhere, like this shows you what Cy, it's like a child. All of a sudden he'll go, I'll tell Dave Silverman, I'll take a lie detector test. And I just thought that conversation was 15 minutes ago. You like it finally hit your brain. You know, you finally, the nerve endings got to you. I mean, one of the weirdest. Remember when he started to yell at Sarah Moorhead? Like he just, like it was just so unprofessional. I mean, I've done some pretty stupid things in my life, but to do that in the middle of a debate where you start yelling at the organizer in the middle of a debate, I just kept thinking, this is a show.
I find that all those guys have a real angry puss on when they're doing that.
I think he doesn't respect
They all look
women.
angry
I
bitches.
think he really, like, women, like, because she's a female. She talked to him, and I think he just, like, here's a guy that there is no way he's married. No way. Okay, that no woman would put up with that level of stupidity. Okay, you can't, Mark, you just can't. Okay, so I guarantee you, he's got nobody. And when Sarah talked to him and told him you can't do certain things, like it was something so simple as, listen, do not videotape people in the audience because some of them do not want to be on tape. And you know when you go out and tape shows and stuff,
Sure.
that you know for a fact you have to get people's permission. They have to sign. Okay, they have to sign a waiver.
Yeah.
Because or you have to blank out their faces. Okay?
Right.
And he could not understand that. And it was in his contract. She was just trying to bring it up. She was being polite to him. He was being such a fucking child.
Yeah.
Okay?
No.
Ignorant.
Misogyny is inherent in Christianity. And
Yeah.
when you're a Christian apologist, it's all about misogyny. And there is something there that connects the apologetic Christian tone from from Cy to his hatred of women, or I should say his apparent hatred of women.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate as to why he was so rude to Sarah and why he behaved that way, except to say he was obviously putting on a show. But yeah, I saw that, and it was repugnant. And I know a lot of people agree with you that it was clearly misogynist. Clearly, I'm not going to take any orders from a woman.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who agree with you who have said that. And I don't like to read into people's minds, but it certainly seemed that way to me.
I do.
And this is something that we again have to understand. We are the good guys here.
Yeah.
We are the good guys. We're not just correct. We're the good guys. We're not just fighting for separation of church and state. We're fighting for religious equality. We're fighting for an end to misogyny. We're fighting for an end to prejudice. We're fighting for an end to religious-based hate, religious-based oppression, religious-based misogyny, religious-based inequality. And we're looking for a peaceful society of equals.
What do you make of the current feminist trend that they're all trying to justify the forcing Muslim women to wear, what they have to wear? Like, how do you rationalize calling yourself a feminist and defending the religion that makes people do something they don't want to do?
Okay, so let me explain this a different way from what I normally hear.
Okay.
Let's think about the BDSM community. Okay, you've got a BDSM community. You've got let's just take a stereotype of a dominant man and a submissive woman. Now, the submissive woman is smart and type A and educated, and she's making a choice to submit utterly to this guy.
Right.
Okay? That is feminism. Okay?
Yes.
If you've got a woman who's been raised to believe she's a piece of shit, and she's been raised to understand that she's lesser of a person, she's been raised to understand that a woman is supposed to submit, and she does the exact same actions to that exact same dom, that's not feminism.
Got it.
Right? That's oppression.
That's a
Now,
great way to
if
put
you're
it.
talking about a woman who was raised in a situation where she is aware of her choices, able to make her choices, and for some really weird reason decides to wear a hijab or decides to wear a burqa, that is feminism. But in the real world,
Yeah.
It's not. In the real world, these women are being brought up to know and believe that they are less than men, that they are not allowed to do that, that when you show your hair, you risk being raped by men because they can't possibly control themselves.
Right.
And when they do, it's your fault for eliciting them. These are people who are victims of indoctrination, victims of brainwashing. It's not feminism at all. They may say it is, but it's not.
Right.
Feminism is when a woman has the ability to make any choice that she wants. And if she makes that choice, and if she wants to make that choice to put on the hijab or to get on her knees, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But when they say they're making a choice and they don't, we as atheists have to look at that and say, look, you've been brainwashed into thinking that you're making a choice to be a second-class citizen. And who are we to judge which is which? How do we know who falls on what line? I mean, we don't know if those women in those burqas are, we don't know who they are.
Right.
We don't know if they're well-read. We don't know if they've
I think
actually
it's the
made a
Stockholm
conscious decision
syndrome.
choice.
Yeah.
But one thing that we can tell is that for the most part, these women are not given a choice.
Right.
And even if they are given a choice, that choice is you can wear the hijab, you can wear the burqa, or you can not wear the burqa. But if you don't wear the burqa, you're out of the family.
Right.
And you're not, and you're going to be thrown out. So that's not a choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
The best way to keep somebody happy and keep the slaves in order is to make them think they're not really slaves.
Well, I've talked to a lot of Christians where they have been shunned by their community. No friends, no, the family members don't want to talk to them anymore. That is, I understand why people would want to still live the lie. Now, you could imagine if you were in a Muslim country that was very, Muslim, where everybody is Muslim. The business has to be Muslim. Everything's Muslim. You have to pray 5 times a day. I understand that if you say, I don't believe in this, that you're screwed. No one will deal with you. You could be thrown in jail. You could be killed.
And often,
there was a crowd. I mean, we sit there and go, how did they throw that gay person and nobody stepped in? Because you know why nobody stepped in? Because you'd be doing a Peter Pan yourself. They would grab you and throw you off for what? You sticking up for the gays?
Apostasy.
Yeah, exactly. And where I saw a video where they had a Muslim atheist on Al Jazeera. I would love to see on Al Jazeera. I think the airways would blow up, Dave.
I would love it.
What would happen is the woman started off immediately saying, like, she was talking to the guy like he was second, like he wasn't even there, and saying, of course there's a God. This guy's insane. This guy's an idiot, but let's give him an opportunity to speak. And then anything he'd say about no God, she would come in and say, are you crazy? Are you stupid? What are you talking about? And it was brutal. Like, you just felt like, and the guy finally just got up and left.
Yeah, they're the Fox's counterpart.
But it was brutal. It was like over there, like people don't understand. If you're called an atheist here, at least people will just say, hey, he's an atheist. Okay, whatever. Over there, say you're an atheist, and they will fucking kick you out of the country. They'll think you have mental problems. And meanwhile, it's the mental. It's like going to a mental hospital, being the doctor, and the patients think that you're mental.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, it's like, what the fuck did I get myself into here? It just shows you how powerful religion. Growing up, church was packed. Dave, you know that. Like, going to a church or wherever you went, synagogue or whatever, it was always packed. I go back today just to check it out. Empty. Empty. They're selling churches. You want to buy a nice house? You could buy a nice church.
That was so awesome when Gretchen Carlson said, well, you must be happy. And you're like, yeah, I am pretty fucking happy.
I'm pretty happy.
It's a good day to be an atheist.
But that's the thing. Church is not, you look around, you go, how can they afford? I was up in Toronto the other day, and they built a new Catholic church. And I remember saying to my friend, his child was getting a confirmation or something. And I looked at this church, and I said, this is not a Catholic church. And because it was so small. And he goes, dude, they don't got any more money, man. Look at it. Like there's only 50 people here. Like religion is slowly dying.
Yes. Oh, it's not even slowly dying. It's dying fast. It's dying fast, and its influence is dying fast, and it's a good day. It's a good time to be an atheist activist.
Can you sense that, like, they're like, religion is losing hold and grasping at straws, just trying to, like.
Well, let's look at the political landscape for a minute. I mean, we were not talking about politics, but talking about religious right losing its grip. Just think about the politics. Go back a couple of weeks. Let's pretend Ted Cruz is still in the race.
Right.
So you got Ted Cruz, you got Donald Trump, you got Hillary Clinton, you got Bernie Sanders. Ted Cruz is a religious right candidate. Donald Trump wouldn't know a Bible verse, couldn't name a single Bible verse. He couldn't name Genesis 1.
Right.
He couldn't name John 3:16. Okay? And then on the Democratic side, you've got Hillary Clinton, who's throwing God in everywhere, and you've got Bernie Sanders, who's a non-religious Jew, self-identified non-religious Jew.
Right.
Go back 25 years. What is the religious right doing? The religious right is throwing all of its weight behind Ted Cruz because that's going to help him win. They're trashing the hell out of Donald Trump because he's an atheist.
Right.
They're trashing the hell out of Bernie Sanders because he's an atheist. They are impacting the election that way. Now, what are they doing this year? They endorsed Donald Trump. Okay? They endorsed Donald Trump and let Cruz die. Why?
Yeah.
Because instead of putting their power behind somebody who needed their help, they backed a winner.
Right.
Yeah.
They backed a winner. And what are they doing about Bernie Sanders? Nothing. Not a word.
Yeah.
Not a word to the first non-religious candidate in recent history. So look at the power that they've lost. They are holding on to somebody who they grabbed onto 2 Corinthians, okay?
Right.
And the guy who actually talks about his penis size, this is the same group that covered up the statue behind John Ashcroft.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
He talked about his penis size from the stage. He said 2 Corinthians couldn't name a Bible verse without preparation first, and they backed him because they needed him, not
Yes.
because he needed them.
I think it's the same with obviously with the Catholic faith. I mean, 600 years a pope hasn't retired, and then Benedictus Pedophilus there decides that he's out.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And then the Catholic Church says, hey, he's a hero for doing that. Isn't that funny?
It's weird.
And then they coincidentally bring in another pope who has very, very different views from Benedict.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what does he do first? He reaches out to the gays and the atheists.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
Amazing. Almost like it was a great big marketing job.
yeah, and
Well, you
that
would
to
know.
me, that to me, that just, I find that disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, if you really look at it, you got to sit there and say something is really messed up here. That is not the way.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, children were in limbo, and then all of a sudden they're not anymore. You know, because God told them.
Yeah.
God, He's the direct. He talks to God. And I just think anytime somebody tells you they talk to a supernatural being that you can't see or feel or is not there, they're fucking crazy.
Sure.
Okay?
Or a lie.
And yeah, it's a lie. And if you want to follow the lie, that is creepy. I find that very weird. As an individual, no one wants to be an individual. Everybody wants to be sheep.
Yeah.
And it's
They're bred to be sheep, right? They're raised to be sheep. They're told by the religion that they need to be sheep. That it's good to be sheep. Remember what we were just talking about? Raising slaves to believe that they weren't even slaves,
Yeah.
and they raised their sheep to not even know that they're sheep.
right.
They think that they're doing the right thing. They think that they're doing God's work. They think that God wants them exactly where they are. So they don't want to question, and they're brainwashed into not questioning, and that's the crime. That's the harm that religion does. This is what moderate religion does: is it brainwashes people into keeping the church alive,
Right.
at their own expense.
Well, to me, it's all money. I mean, when you look at a guy like Eric Hovind is fighting with his dad over money, but I mean, those are peanuts compared to they had a pastor who wanted $30 million for another jet.
Yeah,
Another
Creflo.
jet.
Creflo dollar.
Another jet. Creflo dollar for another jet.
Yes.
I mean, look, think
Like,
about
come
that.
on.
I mean, I don't like to use the word criminal. But
It is
come on.
criminal.
But come on.
That's criminal, Dave.
to
That's
tell
that.
huge numbers of poor, uneducated people, give me money. The man in the sky wants you to give me money. You will be rewarded so much more after you die. But for now, poor, uneducated people, give me money so I can have another jet.
Yes.
Another jet. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to pay taxes on that income.
Fuck.
Like,
Right.
like I always sit there and I think to myself, man, if I was just fucking a little more dishonest, I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
if I was a dishonest prick,
Yeah.
I could make some serious money.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me. How much money could I make if I found Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh God.
How much money could I? And I could do it too. I can totally pull it off. I could do the whole tears thing.
Sure.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. I can do all that shit, right? I could make millions and millions of dollars.
Oh,
The
fuck.
problem is I'm too ethical.
You'd be the poster boy. Look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
look at Majid Nawaz.
Or Bill Murray, Madeline Murray O'Hare's son.
Oh, did he really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
what's
yeah.
that?
He became a preacher. He's very well off these days, I hear.
Oh, what a dick.
Yeah.
Well,
Talk about doing God's work. I wanted to ask you, these guys that are planning on crashing the Reason rally. What do you know about that?
I love it. That's fine.
who's crashing the Reason rally?
There's a Christian group that wants to get in
Yeah,
there.
Ray Comfort is coming.
Oh
and,
fuck! Do you want me
that's
there?
gonna be
Do you want
great.
security?
Oh, there's going to be so much security at the Reason rally.
I could pull a
Scary.
Donald Trump security people, no problem.
So here's a no-brainer question: who do you think in a rage riot at the Reason rally, who throws the first punch, the Christians or the atheists?
Oh, the Christians throw the first
Christians.
punch.
Yeah, obviously.
We're not going to throw a punch.
No, that's where the atheists will. Yeah, I mean, I've seen these. These are very. It's always the Christians losing their mind, acting childish, just trying to. They want to get that bit, that video. They'll always use that 20-second clip of an atheist arguing back at them.
Yeah.
You know, instead of showing the whole argument.
Why are they so angry?
Yeah, and it's just, to me, I don't know. So, we've been talking to Mr. David Silverman. He's the president of the American Atheists, and in Mexico.
So let's just talk before we get off the subject. I wanted to mention the Reason rally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to bring that up.
Yeah. So the Reason rally the first Reason rally was in 2012, and it was the largest atheist event ever. And this year it's going to be bigger. This year, when I created the Reason rally for two things. I wanted to get the attention of the politicians. Well, for a few reasons, but I wanted to get the attention of the politicians, and I wanted to get the attention of some major stars, because that's how you lead this country.
Right.
You lead the country with stars and politicians. And at the first Reason rally, we had Adam Savage and Tim Minchin and Eddie Izzard, and we were really happy to have those people. But this year, we've got Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Who's Johnny
coming to the
Depp?
Reason rally.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah. He's some
I've heard of
dude.
that name.
He's a
some
pirate.
dude. He was in a movie here or there,
Oh.
and I'm really excited because this is our ability. This is going to change things. We're using the Reason rally to really change things, and we've got politicians coming as well. I don't want to talk about who they are because we haven't announced them yet, but it's going to be big. And if anybody out there has any time, it's 3 weeks away now. It's on June 4th. The Reason Rally itself is free. It's on the Lincoln Memorial. The website is reasonrally.org. And please, everybody, come.
Yes.
And while you're on the computer, please check out my organization, the organization I'm privileged to run, American Atheists, which is at atheists.org. We were founded in 1963 by Madeline Murray O'Hare, and it's something that I hope that everybody will check out. We really do need everybody's membership, everybody's support. That's at atheists.org. And, of course, the number one book in the world ever, the number one atheist book ever, is
in the history of books.
Fighting God.
Fighting God is available everywhere. Barnes & Noble. I don't know if I told you this. My agent is Barack Obama's agent.
Nice.
Shit, mine is Louis. Works down at the diner. The fucking guy's just sitting there not doing anything. You're lucky.
So it's really something. So I hope everybody comes to the Reason Rally and joins American Atheists and buys Fighting God and writes about it up on Amazon because it's a nice thing to do.
It is. It
Awesome.
really is. And I just want to say, Mr. Silverman, you work your ass off. And I don't think you get enough love. I think you get way too much bullshit criticism. The job that you do is so incredibly hard. And as an atheist, I wouldn't want a different president. I'd want you as my representative.
Did you ever get somebody wanting to join your 12-step program?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny. First of all, thank you, Vito. That was very nice of you to say. When we first started in activism, when I first started in activism back in '96, the first convention that I helped plan, the hotel would not put American Atheists on the banner. They'd only list us as AA.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look how far it's come, and it's come far because you are a pit bull, okay? You go after things, you go after what is right, and what you believe in. And again, you're doing, you know what I love? You're not doing God's work, you're doing right work.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is where people will sit back and say, you know what? We need this. We need somebody that, and you know, it's great. You don't hear Dave Silverman out with hookers. You don't hear him causing shit. Anytime you see him on television or in interviews, it's always incredibly professional.
Yeah, and anything you see David involved with, you walk away feeling better.
Yes, you do. You walk away saying he answered my questions, and I please get the book, Fighting God, and please check out his debates. His debates are absolutely wonderful. They're very thought out, meticulous. You'll walk away saying, you know what? If you don't agree with him, I guarantee in a couple of days, you'll go back and rewatch him and say, oh, wow, he's got a really good point here.
Yeah.
You know? So, Mr. Silverman, El Presidente, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you both for having me on the show. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for your very kind words. I do appreciate them. It makes me feel warm inside.
Oh, good. We'll do, it's like sex.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I fuck it up always at the end. Folks, you're listening to the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast with Vito D'Amico and
Mark Arts.
And we had the pleasure of Mr. Dave Silverman, the president. Thank you all, Presidente.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sirs.